Probably in every country there is some sacred animal. Somewhere it's cows, somewhere it's elephants, and in CS, the sacred cow that can't be killed is the legendary map Dust 2. The return of this card in the active map pool so shook the community that the waves are not subsiding until now. The main thing is that no one is not drowned and did not go to the bottom. It's time for us to get our hands on Dave Johnston's immortal creation, What's Dead Can't Die, which means there's a good chance your grandchildren will still be racing the Duster. Hi everyone, and today we're going to blow the dust off of Dasta 2, and together we'll take a walk down the path where a fan map from stolen screenshots turned into one of the most recognizable locations in the gaming industry. And before I say, here we go, subscribe to the channel, give me your authoritative like, and here we go. Fry your enemies with top skins. Enter the code from the screen on the site GGDROP and get plus 11% to deposit and free spin. What does the phrase "that kid with balls" mean? Usually it means that someone has a strong character, but this spring the expression will get a new meaning, not excluding, by the way, the first. After all, on GGDROP starts a new Easter event, in which you can collect the top promo code, watching videos on the channel GGDROP and finding them Easter in the form of eggs containing letters from the promo code. This spring, with eggs will be all. What do a Dust 2 map and a boomerang have in common? They always come back. Several times the card was removed from the competition pool, but here it is, back in its rightful place. Not everyone will of course agree that it's on there, and not everyone will admit that it's legitimate, as you can see by looking at the reactions of many PRO players for whom Dust 2 is too primitive as they see it. But for beginners to master the mechanics of CS, the map is ideal, and perhaps its return to the map pool is part of Valve's strategy to attract new players. So where did this particular Duster come from? Meet Dave Johnston, the Brit who created the masterpieces called Dust and Dust. Dave was a 16-year-old schoolboy, playing Half-Life and Team Fortress on vacation. Johnston noticed CS when the game was still in beta, and then the kid got a texture pack and made a map. That's how Dust came to be. A Briton created CS Tire, a map with hostages. Jess Cliff, one of the creators of CS, liked the location so much that he called the 16-year-old to make a map for the 4th beta. Dave had the almost unrealistic task of making a map that would play a mode with a bomb setting. Why almost unrealistic? Yes, because before this mode was not in principle, all played on maps with hostages. And Dust was the first map on which C4. That's why it was very unbalanced, because the map maker had no idea how to make a map of this type. On Dust, one of the plants is right on the SWAT spawn. Dust appeared in the game on November 5th, 1999 year, the day the 4th beta was released, and the know-how was a hit with everyone. Here's how Dave recalls it. Saturday morning came. I didn't have breakfast, but immediately rushed to download the 4th beta, and there were already hundreds of servers with a new mode. People were disarming and placing bombs on the map I had created, and I myself didn't even have time to play on it. It turned out that the new bomb mode was a hit. It was on that day that the very first Dust 24/7 server appeared. That's how Dust defined the look of the iconic game for decades to come. It's been 2 years, the map was incredibly popular, and fans were demanding a sequel. Dave started thinking about Dust 2. The overwhelming success scared the guy badly, and when it came to the sequel, there was a wild cocktail of insecurity, fear, and superstition in his head. The first name of the Dust 2 map was Dust 3. Yeah, you heard right. I was a little surprised when I found out too. And here's how Dave described his logic. Creating a successor to the most popular map in the world is an incredibly difficult task. I didn't want to call the map Dust 2 for that very reason. The third installment of any movie trilogy is never as good as the first, and I decided to call it Dust 3, hoping no one would notice. I assumed everyone would just keep playing the first Dust. Who knows what else the young map maker would have thought up if Jess Cliff hadn't come to his aid. It must have been an educational conversation, but as a result, the map was named Dust 2. The fear of doing something wrong to some extent helped Dave realize the Dust 2 we know. Fearful of possible failure, he stuck to the traditional style of the map and introduced new elements very carefully, carrying over all the key points that set Dust apart from everything else. Arches, paths, trim, and of course the sun. However, Dave did add a couple of new and atypical elements, without which the map would not have become so recognizable and popular. He spent a long time agonizing over point B, adding and rearranging drawers, but still something was missing, and then he came up with the window. Another revolutionary innovation for those times was the narrow staircase in the theme, and of course, the famous arrows that indicate in which direction point A or B is located. For the first time in CS, these arrows appeared on Dust, to make it easier for players to navigate on a new location. And yet Dave didn't believe in the success of his masterpiece until the very last moment. Dust 2 came out in March 2001 and never went away again. The map shot even more powerfully than the classic Dust. This is where the birth of the legendary map safely ended, and further its history continued to write the players themselves. How many great and bright moments happened in this dusty location? The map has become a cultural code for the CW and has been recreated in other game universes. Minecraft, for example, well, it's a classic. Far Cry 5 even featured multiplayer on the map. Dust 2 was drawn in the style of Overwatch. And of course, Dust 2 was recreated in real life as well. What was the reason for this incredible success? First of all, the simple, almost primitive structure of the map, where you grasp everything at once: timings, positions, and understanding where the opponent will come from. What was the reason for this incredible success? First of all, the simple, almost primitive structure of the map, where you grasp everything at once: timings, positions, and understanding where the opponent will come from. Dust 2 is incredibly simple in its essence. You don't have to think of anything at all. You take and rush long 14 rounds in a row, and in the 15th round you fly to B. Other maps are applicable only in theory, but in practice they are more complicated and make you work harder. On Dust 2, you so enjoy, and Dust 2, you relax like you're in a cozy recliner on the beach. This is important for both newcomers and people who have been logging in a couple times a week for 20 years. Also, Dust 2 is one of the most balanced in the map pool. It's not so important which side you play for, there's always a chance to score. You don't have to worry like in other maps that the game didn't go well for CT. Today, many people consider Dust 2 an outdated card and its primitivism repulses some. But who cares? Dust 2 is more than a map. It's a legacy, a history, CS culture. Dust 2 was played 15 years ago, is being played now, and I think will be played 15 years from now. And if you learned something new or led a stingy tear of nostalgia for the wonderful times when the grass was greener and the Graphion terrible, then do not forget to put a like, and also subscribe to the channel because there will be a lot of interesting things ahead. And for today, I'll say goodbye. See you in new videos, bro.